whoever wants to join us can join us, because like I said, there are two presentations. So the first one deals with accreditation, and I felt that since we're talking in terms of accreditation, let me also give you a little bit of the background by giving you ISO 15189-2012. This is the base on which 22 has come through, the new accreditation standard. We'll talk about it a little later, not here today. But try to understand 22. It's a very, very beautifully and well written presentation. Okay. So my first one deals with why accreditation. We're asking that question and what are the advantages. Alright, so laboratory accreditation is a means of determining the technical competence of laboratories to perform specific types of testing, measurement and calibration. Clients are encouraged to check with the laboratory to what specific tests and measurements they are accredited for and to what ranges of uncertainty. Completing COLA, that's Commission for Office Lab Accreditation. Please get these short forms with you, COLA. So competing with COLA's accreditation program means your clinical laboratory is in compliance with CLIA, see another one, Clinical Lab Improvements Act, and is recognized by the Joint Commission. So keep these things in little short forms in mind. So we ask the question, what is ISO? The International Organization for Standardization, ISO, is an international standard-setting body composed of representatives from various national standards organizations. ISO 9000 is a series or family of standards. ISO 9001 is a standard within the family. ISO 9000 family of standards also contains an individual standard named ISO 9000. This standard lays out the fundamentals and vocabulary of quality management systems, QMS. So a lot of short forms coming up. On the left hand side you can see 15189, and on the right hand side you got Bureau Veritas, which certifies in India in particular. So what is ISO? We continue. The international Huh?
That's not done.
Yeah. The difference between ISO 15189 and 9000. ISO 9001 certificate provides confidence about the laboratory's quality management system. You get the light on better. Just a moment, guys.
Yes.
Get the light on. So we asked the question, difference between ISO 15189 and 9000. So ISO 9001 certificate provides confidence about the laboratory's quality management system. This was the older one, where you had the basics and there was not too much of a technical involvement in that, but at least the base was there to tell the patients and the doctors, yes, this lab has certain standards. And then you came across 15189 as a measure of both technical competence and quality management, and is the most appropriate process for laboratories to use. I hope you understand that, okay? So beneficiaries include the users of lab services, specifiers of the public. Besides laboratories, there are three groups that benefit from accreditation, perhaps more so than laboratories themselves. These three groups are users of laboratory services, specifiers, private and public bodies that need accurate test data to make decent decisions, and the general public. Alright? Testing and calibration laboratories gain a great deal from technical sound assessment, and accreditation as an internationally recognized. So you've got accreditation body, and here are some of the benefits using these accreditation bodies. Further benefits: testing and calibration laboratories gain a great deal from technically sound assessment and accreditation by an internationally recognized accreditation body. Here are some of the benefits. So, what this does is sets the standards, the basic minimum standards a laboratory should have to give good, accurate results. So, the patient is saved. By going through accreditation process, a laboratory gains by necessarily building a quality management system based on principles listed later in this article, which functions to reduce procedural errors and prevents errors from going out of the door, out of control. A credential that designates the laboratory as qualified and competent to provide services in the field or fields into which it is accredited. So you have different fields, right from hematology to biochemistry to and so on. A regular objective checkup that helps a laboratory management system make continual improvements in its operation. In an increasing number of instances, entry to a given market that would otherwise be closed to the laboratory. So once you have this accreditation certificate on the walls, it tells you that it's a good lab and you will get doctors sending you work. Okay? Alright, so here is a jumble of medical requirements, quality competence, you've got ISO, you've got audit, you've got GAP. So here 15189 2012 we talk of GAP and so on. Further, increased laboratory productivity resulting from a decrease in the number of clients who insist on having their own staff audit the laboratory. More of these clients now base their confidence on a third-party accreditation. So we have what is known as an internal audit, where the staff of the lab turn around and audit different sections, and better to have a third party, an absolute neutral party that comes into the lab and audits each department. So this tells you, that gives you a little mark of accreditation. All right. So several important principles are embedded in the requirements of these standards: responsibility, scientific approach, objectivity and impartiality, methodological traceability, producibility, transparency and capacity. And we will come to objectify these different terms that you just heard. And ISO 15189, especially with 2012, tells you a lot about this. That's the reason why I have given you that presentation today. So principles of 15189, you can read it: management responsibility, objectivity and impartiality, so you have to be neutral. You've got reproducibility, you've got continued improvement, technical competency, methodological traceability and transparency. Alright? So responsibility and scientific approach, what is that? A responsibility. A laboratory must have persons in its organizations who have the authority to execute specific functions within its overall scope of work and can demonstrate accountability of the results. So you have to keep specially qualified people at the top who can not only do the work, it can also train the juniors. The scientific approach: a laboratory should carry out its work based on accepted scientific principles, preferably following consensus-based methods or standards. And deviation from accepted methods must be substantiated in a manner considered generally acceptable by experts in the field. So if there is something that's going out of focus, you have to justify why it is so, and maybe then it's accepted by the others. Then we come to objectivity and impartiality and methodological traceability. So the results produced should be based on measurable quantities. If results are subjective, they must be produced by people deemed qualified to make subjective judgments. The pursuit of reliable results So the use of acceptable scientific principles is the primary and overriding influence on the persons carrying out the testing. All other influences are secondary and not permitted to take precedence. So here you have to have objectivity, that what you are doing is very, very much online and it is not substituted by anything that's substandard. The pursuit of reliable results through the use of accepted scientific principles is the primary and overriding influence on the persons carrying out the testing. So not only you as a senior, the juniors also have to be trained that the work they are doing is on accepted lines. Nothing substandard should not be accepted. Metrological traceability, new word with 15189. The results produced are based on a recognized system of measurements that derives from accepted known quantities. You have the SI systems of units of measurement and other well-characterized references. The chain of comparison of measurements between those accepted known quantities and the device providing the objective results is unbroken for the transfer of measurements, characteristic including uncertainty for the whole of the measurement chain. So the results produced are based on a recognized system of measurement and you have to use units which are acceptable. Other characteristic references may be accepted if it's there in the standard. The chain of comparison of measurements between the accepted known quantities and the device providing the objective result is unbroken for the transfer of measurements, characteristics, including uncertainty for the whole of the measurement chain. So your instruments should be such which should provide reliable results with the same degree of measurements. Reproducibility, transparency and capacity. The test method used to produce results will produce results within an acceptable spread of range during future testing and within constraints of using the same procedures, equipments and persons used for prior execution of the test. Understand that the test method used to produce results will produce results within an acceptable range. It has to be a spread. That is the reason why your quality control has to be very good, and we will think in terms of mean, SD and the other parameters which are acceptable. So capacity, the laboratory must have the resources, that is people with required skills and knowledge, environment with required facilities, equipment and instruments, procedures to ensure consistency of test procedures and processes, and quality control for the key steps in the testing processes, necessary to carry out the tests and produce reliable results. So you need the capacity also and the transparency to go ahead with these procedures. And you have to have people trained who can do the work and guide the juniors into the same process. For calibration laboratories, accreditation by internationally recognized accreditation body validates their pivotal place in the unbroken chain of traceability to national and international measurement standards. Users of laboratory services are also beneficiaries of certain accreditation users, have greater confidence in the accuracy of the test or calibration report they are purchasing because it has been generated by a competent facility. This is particularly true of an educated client, one who is conscious of the scope of the laboratory accreditation. Accreditation laboratory data underpins product certification decisions. Clients can make use of information sources such as ILAC on the website and its links on the online directories of ILAC arrangement signatories to identify laboratories qualified in the area of need. Okay. Manufacturers also gain so advantages. Not only is it to the lab, it is advantages to the manufacturers. Also gain efficiency because of accreditation. Instead of their own on-site assessments, they can defer to assessments of competent accrediting authorities. Other manufacturers that have in-house testing or calibration facilities can reduce or eliminate these overhead costs and subcontract with confidence to outside accreditation laboratories. So, companies also can have all their products verified by a third party. Very short, I'm telling you that. Specifiers such as government regulators have come to appreciate the importance of predictable accreditation programs that are based on internationally recognized standards. With restricted budgets, many government agencies can no longer do it all by themselves. Increasingly, they must rely on third-party laboratories to support their regulatory efforts. When they do so, they need a fair and meaningful basis for identifying unqualified or qualified providers. So these companies can send their products out to these third parties who will verify their products. So in India, popular accreditation bodies are as below. Please check their websites. So you got NABL, very popular here. National Accreditation Board of Testing Laboratories, headquarters in Gurgaon. CAP, College of American Pathologists, headquarters in Chicago, USA. And you got JACO, Joint Commission, USA, headquarters in Illinois. Alright? And you've got the different pins below. You've got the ISO, you've got NABL, you've got CAP, you've got JACO, and so on. So we've got goal accomplished. Accreditation also has a positive impact on the general public by stimulating higher standards of quality within the laboratory. This leads to a more consistently reliable test data, thereby contributing to more effective health and safety regulations and to products of more consistent quality. Because of the science of accreditation continues to improve, holding laboratories or even higher standards, the public benefits will continue to accrue. So what we are saying is that having a third party like NABL or CAP or JACO who verifies the results of your lab and saying yes, this is a good lab, what they are doing is correct, not only is giving the lab a very good standard, it is also making the staff very confident of the work they do. Internationally recognized accreditation bodies around the globe are committed to this improved accreditation system and to maximizing the benefits of laboratory accreditation to all stakeholders. So not only does it benefit the lab, it also benefits the patient and the doctors who send results to this lab because they know the results are reliable, because good QC is used. And this is, I think, the last slide, but I would like to tell you, I want to continue with ISO 15189-2012, that's a base, and it tells you a lot, okay? I also want to tell you that after this lecture gets over, Jaldeep comes on for 2 more, skills and effective communication. Then we've had requests for QC1, QC2, which again is a very important part of our lives. Quality Code 1, 2, and we also have a PPT on CAP and how it works. We've divided that into 2 parts if you guys would like it. And I think there's one more I'm forgetting the name. This will be in cycle 7, if you guys are interested. Because I know we have, some of you have asked for quality control 1 and 2. Because this is where we teach you a lot in terms of mean, SD, CV, internal controls, external controls, how to work it out, how to calculate using Excel, and that makes our work very interesting. And we in the lab are sure that the reports we are putting out can be challenged. So the next slide is an overview of ISO 15189 2000. Very quickly we are going to revise what it deals with, so keep it in mind. So the training agenda is to understand ISO 15189. Huh? Somebody's come? Who's come? Nobody's come. Somebody was asking. Alright, so we start with understanding ISO 15189 and NABL accreditation. NABL depends a lot on it. Preparing your lab for ISO 15189. This is 12, but the recent one is 22, which has, the base is the same, some things have changed, okay? And you have the summary. Let's start. So ISO 15189, what is it based on? ISO 9000 is a certified standard, whereas ISO 15189 is intended to be an accreditation standards, and this is based for the lab. Developed by ISO Technical Committee TC212, creates an international standard promoting a uniform approach to laboratory competence, need to comply with particular requirements for quality and competence as per the international standard 15189 and specific requirements of NABL 112. Now there are certain books put out by NABL which helped you write your manuals. Third-party certification of the competence is necessary and enhances customer confidence and provides international level of competence. I told you, this helps not only the doctor become confident that this lab puts out good results, it also helps the patient that yes, my results here from here are reliable. So let's start. Scope of accreditation as per ISO 15189. So scope is a list of the tests that you want your lab to be accredited for, okay? So the subjects are clinical biochemistry, clinical pathology, hematology and immunohematology, microbiology and serology, histopathology and cytopathology, genetics and nuclear medicine. These are the different topics and your scope can deal with these topics, right? The scope is the menu of your test, all right? So how do we go about it? Quick step. 10 steps to begin with biolaboratory. 22 also deals with the same. Gather documents, understand the documents and QSC quality systems, identify and the roles and responsibilities, agree quality policy, mission and vision, which we all have now, just put in the front. Train for internal auditor course and develop quality manual. Prepare gap analyses. Start up those the most important musts. Conduct internal audit followed by management review. Apply to NABL. Process of accreditation by NABL. So these are the 10 steps you must follow. And I'm sure you'll get familiar with some of these terminologies. So step 1, get ISO 15189 from your standard book and copies of other requirement controls, so you can get it down. Your book of standards is available on the net. So these are the books you must have, and you can print it out and keep it. ISO 112, specific criteria for accreditation of medical labs. 131 is terms and conditions. 132, I'm not going through the whole thing, procedure for dealing with complaints. So you can see each one tells you what it deals with, all right? So take a look at it and I'll go on to the other, slide 7, all right? Step 2, understanding the documents and QSE. ISO 15189 2012 standard has a set of QSE requirements under 2 clauses. Clause 4, which is management, 15 subclauses. Clause 5, technical requirements, 10 subclauses. And these things have changed with 2022, all right? So the management requirements starts with 4, and you can see it's divided into 15, 4.1 to 4.15. And you can see how each one is divided right from organization and management, quality management system, document control, service agreements, examination by referral laboratories, and so on. The last one, 15, is management review. In the technical, there are 10 subsections: personnel, accommodation, ends with laboratory information management. All right? Step 3, identify the roles and responsibilities. Formation of a laboratory committee and identify lab managers and supervisors from different shifts. Designate a quality manager who is well organized, methodical, suitably experienced with lab equipment, environment, experienced negotiator, good written as well as oral communication skills. So here, this person is the kingpin who manages not only with the management, also with the technical staff. Quality manager is responsible for managing the entire quality process, ensuring the following: process procedures are up to date and relevant, regular auditing of the quality system, implementation of new processes and procedures, regular progress updates and management, interdepartment liaison, I just told you, works both ways, continual evolution of the quality system, full-time, part-time. Preferably, we prefer them to be full-time. Okay. Step 4, agree quality policy, mission and vision. Now this has to be written down by all together. Agree on quality policy, mission and vision. Quality policy should include statement of purpose. What are the lab's core principles? Why does it exist? What are its objectives and goals? How does it plan to develop in the future? Kept general, not specific. Ongoing record of commitments and how it plans to meet them. So there's quite a bit that goes into the quality policy, and once you've printed it out, it has to be pasted on the walls for everybody to see. Step 5, train for internal auditor course and develop quality manual. To develop quality manual, that is your Bible. That's what I call it. Lab committee creates a small working group involving all in the lab staff. Quality manual is comprised of the following: lab management details, reporting structure including organization chart, defines global quality policy, collection of the policies for each element. Start preparing SOPs and maintaining records. Like I told you, your quality manual is your Bible, and it tells you everything about the lab, how it works, and so on. Prepare for gap analysis. Agreed by the company, list of current policies, list of current procedures, comparison made with ISO 15189 standard, identify gap between what is current and what needs to be achieved. That is the difference between the two. Prepare for the most important musts. What are they? Start with IQC, IQA for each and every analyte in the scope. ILC for analytes which are not in IQA. So internal quality control, external quality control, and you've got ILC, which is for analytes that are not on IQA. Internal methods of identifying. 2 of the staff members should be trained for internal auditorship. Training all staff members for their respective job area. All measuring instruments need to be calibrated, and these include instruments, pipettes, thermometers, and so on. All observations need to be documented in the form of records on predefined formats. Ensure backup systems in place. So the short forms are given for IQC, internal quality control, external quality control, and inter-laboratory comparisons. Now this is for certain tests that are not on IQA. Then you can send your sample to another NABL qualified lab, and you can compare what you have and what that lab has given you, ILC. Okay. Conduct internal audit followed by management review. Check whether lab has complied with all 15 clauses under management requirement and 8 clauses under technical requirement. Internal audit should be followed by management review, meeting and document. This comes at the end where the director and everybody sits together and your internal audit results are reviewed, and there's a whole agenda given in your management, in your IS standards, and you have to follow all the points, you have to discuss all the points, and you have to document. It's just like a meeting, all right? Once this is done, management and technical bits are qualified, you apply to NABL. Format from NABL 1523 to be used by medical laboratories for applying for NABL accreditation. Laboratory has to take special care in filling out the scope of accreditation for which the laboratory wishes to apply. I told you it's the menu. So if you say X, Y, and Z, they will come and accredit X, Y, and Z, for which you will need external control, internal control, ILC, and everything has to be documented. 3 sets of duly filled in application forms for each field of testing. Calibration along with 2 sets of quality manual, NABL 131 and application fields. A little difference with 22 now, alright? So once you've applied, process of accreditation by NABL also starts. So you said once you've applied, now you can say acknowledgement and scrutiny of the application, NABL Secretariat, feedback to laboratory. So you can see pre-assessment of laboratory, again it goes to the laboratory. Final assessment by this assessment team. Then you've got scrutiny of the assessment report by NABL Secretariat, recommendations for accreditation by accredited committee, you got approval of accreditation by chairman, and you got issue of accredited certificates. Now what they do is once you send them to NABL, you send them the reports, you will have one person coming and doing a pre-audit, and he will give you non-conformances where he thinks you've not adhered to what is needed. Once you've said that and sent it to them, the committee comes. So if you have opted for hematology, for biochemistry, for microbiology, experts come, lead assessors as we call them, they will come and they will do the accreditation of that particular section. It takes about 2 to 3 days, all right? Once they approve, they will give you NCs, non-conformance reports. They will give you time to close them. And if they're happy with what you have supplied, then you can have your final accreditation. Accreditation through NABL improves overall performance levels and helps maintain consistency of high standards. Accreditation is only ethical way to achieve success and recognition for your lab and your staff. The latest accreditation nomenclature is ISO 1518922. There are some changes, but the basic requirements remain the same. That's the reason why I've given this to you right now. Take a look at it, because requirements are there. And 22 has flipped into something more. This is the last slide. Alright? So like I said, if we were to have cycle 7, we want to give you what is what have you have? It's called QC1, QC2. We also want to tell you a little more about CAP, which more and more Indian labs are going for. And I think we have identified one more, I don't remember it. So if you guys agree, then we can have cycle 7. I hope you've understood what we've done today. Meena?
Yes, sir.
Parizad? Doctor?
Cycle 7, I don't mind. It's okay.
Doctor, are you well or are you sleeping? Looks like you're dozing off.
No.
I'm sure, because you being with Breach Candy Hospital are very familiar with all these terminologies.
No. On the contrary, I was a quality manager. When they said that my signatory was unauthorized, I actually was there during Vajpayee's time, during Attorney General Soli Sonamji's time, but it was a very pathetic scenario that only since I was a PhD and the MDs were considered to be authorized signatory, I was not continued. A very sorry plight, but it was that request from NABL, only one day it was put up, and it was 2017 June. In fact, I should say a very nice, crisp, and a very palatable, which you have taken, a palatable, tasty topic that you have taken, which should be digested, because now the NABL is enjoyed by Trish Candy Hospital. I was from 2017 till 2019, I was working as a quality manager because my signatory was considered to be unauthorized. I know what is going on now, but it was a very crisp topic which is very essential, because we have to consider the statement, a right patient, a sample to be tested on the right patient at the right time with right results. You have to gain a proper credibility to the lab. The physicians think, am I sending the patient to the right lab? So you have to do all this a very crisp discussion that you have put. I was working as a quality manager where we had to see I had to see the calibrations, the quality control. We had biorad quality control external. Very rightly said, the internal quality control is essential. We used to do internal quality control 3 times a day. It depends on the number of tests, number of samples that we process in the morning, in the afternoon, and night time. So internal quality control, which has to be processed thrice a day depending on the number of samples that you get. Then we had biorad and we had RICAS, Randox. Biorad laboratories ka control, external quality control, the third opting control. I used to see that I used to get a rank around the globe, and every time I used to come first or second. Okay, I do not know now what is going on, but I think I am proud to pat my back, that whatever I have done. I told you in the morning that I was not there at the time when NABL was done, but I have set the torch because I know what hard work I used to do. I was doing and I was looking at that I get a rank second or third at least around the globe to get a rank in the biorad. I used to be with RICAS also. So a very nice topic where we have to look to calibration, we have to look to the quality control, we have to look IQC, we have to look to for external, we have to say to internal lab comparison. Then we have to consider the peer lab comparison. And I used to always see, you have to see that the doctors, the clinicians are happy with our results. Very nicely produced, very nicely put up this slides. Very nice. I should pat your back because as a quality manager from 2017 to 2020, very, very nicely presented. And such kind of things are very important because I do not know whether now they go to all these scrubs. I know quality manager is appointed, he has to be, as you said, he has to be available 24 by 7. Everything, yes. Absolutely a very nice presentation. And I would request you to take another cycle 7 because it is the need of the hour. It is the need of the hour, and it is now 22. ISO 1518922 is coming up, and you have rightly put up that gap analysis means what was existing and what is new that is coming up. It is a very excellent presentation, a very need of the hour for the technicians because technicians just release the reports as they are. But that is the need of the hour. Whether my this thing is test is calibrated, whether I am within the quality control, internal quality control, whether I am